All right, welcome. So today we're going to talk about a pretty big shift in mindset. Moving away from just reacting to bad clicks and instead becoming a proactive guardian of your entire traffic ecosystem. We're going to explore how you can really master your traffic's health by finding those threats you can't always see, the ones that are hiding in plain sight.
I mean, really think about that for a second. You're looking at your dashboards, your clicks, your conversions, and on the surface, everything seems okay. But what if there are these silent killers just draining your budget and wrecking your reputation right under your nose? And I'm not just talking about bad bots. These are much deeper, kind of technical issues.
Yeah, we're talking about stuff like internet service providers, ISPs, that are just quietly blocking your domain for all of their users, or your domain landing on some spam list, which just tanks your deliverability. It could even be a simple SSL certificate problem that makes your site look shady to visitors. These are those invisible threats that can slowly, silently bleed a campaign dry without ever setting off the usual alarms.
So here's our game plan for today. First, we're going to really dig into what these invisible threats are. Then we'll talk about your first line of defense, traffic blocking. After that, we'll zoom out and look at the big picture with the Traffic Health Command Center. And finally, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of diagnosing specific problems and decoding what's happening with ISP trends.
Okay, first things first. Let's really get to know the enemy here. Because these aren't just little technical glitches. You have to think of them as active threats to your campaign's performance, to your bottom line. And honestly, just thinking of them that way is the first step toward building a strategy that's actually resilient.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly explains the problem. You could check your domain from your own office, and hey, it works great. But for maybe thousands of potential customers using a different internet provider, your site might as well not even exist. You'd have absolutely no idea unless you knew exactly where and how to look.
So, how do we fight back against this stuff? Well, we start right at the front gate. Our first line of defense is traffic blocking. This is where we stop the bad traffic before it even gets a chance to knock on the door.
The key word here, the most important word, is proactive. We're done playing that old game of finding and reversing charges from bad clicks after they've already cost you money. No way. Traffic blocking is like setting up a high-security checkpoint. It lets you define the rules and just automatically reject traffic from sources you already know are garbage from the get-go.
And you know what? Setting it up is super straightforward. You just pick the offer you want to protect, decide which tracking parameter to use for your filter, like a sub-ID that flags a specific traffic source, and then you pop in the value you want to block. That's it. It's a simple three-step process to build a really powerful gate. Now, this is where it gets really cool. The level of precision you have is just fantastic. You're not just blocking one single specific ID. You can get way more creative. You can set rules to block any source that contains a certain keyword or one that begins with a specific prefix. This kind of granular control gives you an incredibly flexible and targeted defense against whole patterns of bad traffic. But here's the thing. As powerful as that is, blocking individual sources, that's a tactic. It's a great one, but it's still just a tactic. To truly become that proactive guardian we talked about, you have to think bigger. You need to protect your entire infrastructure. And that is the strategic move.
Which brings us right here to the Traffic Health Dashboard. I want you to think of this as your command center, your mission control. This is where you get that high-level, strategic view of your whole tracking ecosystem, keeping an eye on the health of all your domains, all in one place.
So the dashboard basically splits problems into two main buckets. On one side, you've got incidents. These are your technical, operational issues, right? Like your server's just down. On the other side, you have reputation flags. This happens when some external service, like a spam checker, decides to put your domain on their naughty list. So one's an internal problem, the other is an external perception issue, but both are absolutely critical to your success.
All right, let's dive a little deeper into that first category, uptime incidents. Diagnosing these is all about finding the root cause of a technical failure and finding it fast, before it can really do some major damage to your campaigns.
The system makes it really easy to understand what's going on by categorizing these incidents. Unreachable is pretty obvious, it's totally down. A connection issue might mean it's super slow or just timing out. And a certificate issue is a big red flag for your security certificate, which can really scare off users in modern browsers. Having this specific vocabulary helps you know what you're dealing with instantly. And for every single incident, you get a detailed report that looks something like this. You see a unique ID to track it, its current status, the exact type of problem it is, and, this is the most important part, diagnostic details. This is the technical info that actually helps you or your team fix it. So it's not just an alarm bell, it's a full-on diagnostic toolkit.
Okay, and finally, let's talk about maybe the most subtle threat of all, ISP-level blocking. This is when a specific internet provider just decides, nope, no traffic from you, and it is notoriously hard to spot.
So just imagine this chart is your data. You're getting tons of great traffic from ISP A and ISP B, but all of a sudden, traffic from ISP C, which used to be solid, has just fallen off a cliff. There's no incident report, no error message, nothing. A chart like this is often the very first and sometimes only clue you have that something's really wrong.
And this is exactly how you confirm what you suspect is happening. The platform gives you all these analysis tools to dig in. You can flip between clicks, conversions, and revenue to see the full financial impact. You can compare different time periods to pinpoint the exact moment the drop happened, and you can filter all the way down to one specific ISP to really investigate. These tools are what turn a hunch into hard, actionable data.
So at the end of the day, everything we've talked about really comes down to a fundamental shift in how we think. We're moving beyond just playing defense and blocking bad clicks. The real goal here is to become a guardian, to cultivate a healthy, robust, and resilient traffic ecosystem that can actually withstand all of these hidden threats.
And that really just leaves us with one final question for you to think about. I want you to take an honest look at your own campaigns, your own process. Are you just reacting to problems as they pop up, or are you actively building a truly resilient strategy that's designed not just to survive, but to thrive? Thanks for tuning in.